The studio lights dimmed as the cameras rolled, and the tension in the air felt like static before a storm. The host barely finished her intro when Denzel leaned forward, hands folded, eyes locked onto Trump with the calm intensity of someone who came prepared. The show's topic was simple: economic reality versus political messaging. But everyone watching knew tonight was going to turn into something much bigger. Trump opened the segment with the same claim he had repeated all week. Prices are falling. People feel it. America's winning again. His voice carried confidence, but not everyone was convinced, least of all Denzel. Denzel didn't raise his voice. He didn't even shift in his chair. He simply asked, "Who feels it?" Because every report I read says groceries are up, rent is up, and wages aren't catching up. So, who exactly is living in the America you're describing? Trump waved his hand dismissively. People exaggerate. The media lies. Everyone knows it. But Denzel shook his head slowly, almost sympathetically. You're not answering the question. And you know it. The host glanced between them like a referee in a match she didn't sign up for. Trump leaned back, trying to laugh it off, but the camera caught something in his expression, an unease he couldn't hide. Prices are coming down, Trump insisted again. Denzel's reply was razor sharp, saying it doesn't make it real. Facts do. The comments section exploded instantly. Viewers clipped the moment within seconds. The tone was set. And the world sensed it. Tonight wasn't politics as usual. Tonight was the truth calling the bluff, live on air. Trump adjusted his tie like he was resetting the whole conversation with one gesture. The studio audience fell completely silent, waiting to see whether he would double down or pivot. But Trump, being Trump, pushed forward. Look, he said, people are spending less because things cost less. It's simple economics. Anyone who disagrees is just buying into panic. Denzel exhaled through his nose, the kind of breath people take when they've heard enough. Spending less, he repeated calmly, usually means people can't afford what they need, not that prices magically dropped. The host's eyes widened. She knew Denzel had just walked Trump into a corner without raising his voice an inch. Denzel pulled out a folded paper from his jacket. These are last month's national data. Food prices, up. Utilities, up. Rent, way up. And every economist who isn't doing PR for someone says inflation hasn't gone anywhere. He placed the paper on the table. You can read it if you want. Trump didn't touch it. Instead, he laughed, too loudly, too forced. These so-called experts, they've been wrong before. Sure, Denzel replied, but you've been wrong this week. On camera. Multiple times. A gasp rippled through the room. Trump leaned forward sharply. That's fake news. Everything you don't like is fake news, Denzel answered, still steady, still controlled. But numbers don't care who's talking. They don't bend for you. They don't kneel to public image. They stay what they are. For the first time, Trump didn't respond right away. The camera zoomed in. His jaw tightened. His eyes flickered to the paper again, the evidence sitting inches from his hand. In the control room, a producer whispered, "This is going viral in real time." And they were right. Clips were already flooding social media titled, "Denzel just fact-checked Trump live." This is the moment Trump froze. The showdown had only just begun. And everyone watching felt it. Truth had entered the ring. And Denzel was fighting with facts, not volume. Trump finally leaned back, crossing his arms like he was bracing himself. The lights above them hummed, and every camera shifted to capture the moment. The host tried to move on, "Let's talk solutions." But Denzel wasn't letting the fog settle yet. "No," he said firmly. "Not angry. Not loud. just final. Before we move on, we need clarity. Because millions of people at home are hearing two completely different versions of America. Trump rolled his eyes. Here we go again. Denzel ignored him. So let me ask you something simple. No speeches. No slogans. Just one straight answer. He leaned slightly forward, voice steady as a held breath. When was the last time you went grocery shopping yourself? A ripple of laughter came from the audience, but Trump didn't find it funny. What does that have to do with anything? He snapped. It has everything to do with it, Denzel replied. Because if you haven't stood in line, if you haven't checked the receipt twice, if you haven't watched people put things back because the total jumped, then you're not talking about prices. You're talking about a fantasy. Trump started to speak, but Denzel held up a hand, not rudely, but decisively. People deserve honesty. If things were improving, trust me, they'd feel it before they heard it from anyone on this stage. The host whispered, "Oh my God," thinking her mic was off. It wasn't. The audience gasped. Trump shook his head, trying to regain control. This is all drama. People want hope. No, Denzel countered. People want truth first. Hope comes after honesty. Clips of that single line exploded online within seconds. Hope comes after honesty, Denzel's best line yet. This is the question Trump couldn't answer. The studio went silent when Denzel said this. And in that silence, something shifted. For the audience, for the viewers at home. And for Trump, who suddenly realized. This wasn't the conversation he thought he'd be leading. The studio felt different now, heavier, tighter, like the air itself was waiting for Trump to respond. He opened his mouth once, twice, but nothing came out that sounded like an answer. Just half-formed phrases, political reflexes searching for a landing strip. Denzel didn't gloat. He didn't smirk. That wasn't his style. Instead, he leaned back, giving Trump space to speak, space that slowly turned into pressure. Finally, Trump muttered, "People want leadership, not lectures." Denzel nodded slowly. Then lead with facts. A murmur swept through the audience, soft, stunned, electric. The host cleared her throat, "Gentlemen, let's keep this constructive." But the moment had already taken on a life of its own. Trump tried again, more forcefully. America is doing better than ever. You'd know that if you weren't surrounded by negativity. Denzel raised a brow. Negativity? Or reality? He waited a beat. One hurts your ego. The other hurts your people. The audience noise shifted, some gasped, some clapped before catching themselves. Trump stiffened in his chair, trying to reclaim ground. "You're twisting my words." "No," Denzel replied calmly, "I'm asking you to stand by them." The host attempted to pivot. "Let's talk solutions." But viewers could sense it. Trump wasn't ready to move on, and Denzel wasn't backing down. The tension had become a character itself in the room. Trump jabbed a finger toward Denzel, his voice rising. "You think you know everything because you're an actor." Denzel's eyes narrowed just slightly. "Enough for the cameras to catch." "No," he said. "I know what struggle looks like. And I know when leaders pretend it isn't there." That hit harder than volume ever could. In the control booth, someone whispered, "Clip that. Clip all of that." Online, reactions exploded. Denzel's calm is more dangerous than any yell. Trump tried to swing, missed completely. This debate is about to rewrite the internet. And as the cameras slowly zoomed in, the world saw it clearly. Trump was fighting to win the room. Denzel was fighting for the truth within it. The studio audience had been respectful up until now, quiet, observant, unsure which direction the night would go. But something shifted after Denzel's last line. It wasn't loud, not yet. It was more like a pulse running through the room, a collective realization that this conversation had crossed into new territory. Trump sensed it. His shoulders tightened. He pointed again toward Denzel. "You're twisting things, and you know you are. People don't want doom and gloom." Denzel clasped his hands together, elbows resting on the table. "People want honesty first. Then solutions. But you can't fix what you refuse to see." Trump scoffed. "I see more than you think." "Then say it," Denzel challenged. "Say something real, something grounded. Tell people where the struggle actually is instead of pretending the numbers magically dropped." The crowd murmured again. Cameras cut to faces in the audience, some leaning forward, others whispering, all locked in. Trump hesitated. Just 1 second too long. And that's when it happened. A low wave of reaction, not boos, not applause, but something more dangerous for a political figure. Doubt. It washed over the room. The host tried to intervene. "Let's stay focused." But Denzel wasn't finished. "Look, no one expects a leader to have all the answers. But they do expect a leader to stop pretending the problems don't exist." Trump bristled. "I don't pretend anything." Denzel tilted his head. "Then why does every tough question sound like an attack to you?" The audience gasped. Someone in the back whispered, "Oh damn," loud enough that the microphones caught it. Trump leaned forward, voice rising. "Because it is. You're trying to make me look bad." Denzel didn't blink. "If the truth makes you look bad, that's a you problem, not a me problem." A shockwave went through the room. The host dropped her pen. Producers in the booth froze. The soundboard operator forgot to breathe. On social media, the moment detonated instantly. This line will be quoted for years. Denzel just ended the excuses. The studio went nuclear after this. And for the first time that night, Trump's posture had changed, not dominant, not dismissive, but defensive. Denzel remained still, centered, unshaken. The crowd had turned. The energy had turned. And the night was only halfway through. The studio lights felt hotter than before. Trump narrowed his eyes at Denzel, gripping the edge of the desk as if it might help steady the narrative slipping out of his hands. Denzel placed a single sheet of paper on the table. "Not dramatic, just deliberate. This," he said, "is the official price data from last month. Straight from the Bureau of Labor Statistics." Trump scoffed. "Fake. All of it. Those people hate me." Denzel didn't blink. "Donald, everything can't be fake just because it doesn't praise you." The audience murmured. Trump pointed at the paper. "Prices were lower under me. Everyone knows that. Everyone." "Then why," Denzel replied calmly, "did your own economic advisor say your numbers were off by almost 40%? Trump's jaw tightened. "I never said that." "You said it publicly. Twice." Trump flinched, just enough for the camera to catch it. Denzel leaned forward. "A president doesn't get to guess about people's bills, Donald. People build their lives on these numbers. You don't get to play with them." Trump waved a dismissive hand. "I made America richer. Period." Denzel tilted his head. "No. You made America confused. And tonight, the truth isn't cooperating." For the first time, Trump shifted in his chair, uncomfortable. The price lie hadn't just sparked a debate. It had exposed a crack. Trump tried to laugh, but it came out uneven, forced. "You're trying to embarrass me," he said. "That's what Hollywood types do." Denzel chuckled once. "No, Donald. You embarrass yourself when you lie about things people actually feel. A few audience members clapped before the moderator signaled for quiet. Denzel pulled another sheet from the folder. This is a receipt. A real one. A mother of 3 in Ohio sent it in. Groceries up 22%. You told her prices were basically flat. Trump snapped back instantly. People lie for attention. You can't trust those stories. But they trusted you, Denzel replied. And you gave them fiction. Trump's face reddened. I fixed the economy. Everyone agrees. Everyone? Denzel asked. Or just the people who work for you? A sharp gasp rippled across the room. Trump clenched his teeth. Don't lecture me. You're an actor. And you, Denzel said quietly, are proving why facts matter more than ego. Trump threw his hands up. This is a setup. No, Denzel replied, this is accountability. You walked into it all by yourself. For the first time, Trump didn't have a rehearsed comeback. And the audience felt it. Trump leaned back, searching for a camera, any camera, that might throw him a lifeline. Denzel didn't move. He stayed centered, calm, unshaken. You said prices rose, maybe 2%, Denzel said. Actual number? Closer to 15. Trump jabbed a finger at him. You're twisting everything to make me look bad. Donald, Denzel replied, the numbers are doing that on their own. The room erupted with nervous laughter. Trump shot the audience a glare. I know more about economics than any actor in this country. Then show it, Denzel said. Trump froze. Explain the discrepancy, Denzel added. Explain why your statement doesn't match the data. Trump's lips parted, but nothing came out. Go ahead, Denzel continued, I'll wait. Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Trump stuttered, well. Because. Denzel lifted a hand. Stop. You don't know. You said the first number that made you look good and hoped people wouldn't check. Trump slammed his fist on the desk. That's not true. Then prove it, Denzel challenged. But Trump didn't have proof. He didn't even have a sentence. The damage was spreading. Trump exhaled sharply, sweat collecting at his hairline. You're twisting my words, he insisted. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Nothing? Denzel shot back. People can't afford rent. Can't afford gas. Can't afford food. And you call that nothing because it doesn't fit your speech notes? Trump tried to interrupt, but Denzel raised his voice just enough to break through. You said prices were stable. They weren't. You said inflation was low. It wasn't. And you said people were better off than ever. They aren't. Trump's face tightened. You're attacking me just because you hate me. Denzel leaned forward. I don't hate you. I hate dishonesty. I hate excuses. I hate when leaders lie because it's easier than admitting they were wrong. Trump swallowed. For the first time, his bravado slipped completely. Denzel continued, quieter. You claim to speak for the forgotten Americans, but tonight, you forgot them first. The audience exploded into applause. Trump stared down at the desk, breathing heavily. His bluff had collapsed, live on air. Trump sat frozen, his hands trembling slightly beneath the desk. Denzel closed the folder of receipts and data, tapping it lightly. This isn't about left or right, he said. It's about whether the truth still matters. Trump didn't look up. You told millions of people a number that wasn't real, Denzel continued. And when confronted with the facts, you hid behind excuses instead of owning it. Trump muttered, I was giving hope. Hope doesn't require lies, Denzel replied. Hope built on lies collapses the moment someone checks the math. The audience hummed in agreement. Denzel stood slowly. Not triumphant. Not gloating. Just resolute. America deserves better than easy answers and convenient fiction, he said. And tonight, the truth didn't need to shout, because it never blinked. Trump finally looked up, eyes wide, rattled, exposed. Denzel nodded to the moderator and walked off the stage. Trump remained seated, alone in the spotlight. Because sometimes a showdown doesn't end with a shout. It ends with one man still standing. The studio was roaring, voices overlapping, chairs scraping, the sound of a nation reacting in real time. Trump's half-confession hung in the air like smoke after an explosion, impossible to ignore, impossible to take back. The audience, the crew, even the host, all of them were witnessing something they'd never seen before, the unraveling of a man who believed he could never be cornered. But Denzel didn't move. He didn't rise with the chaos. He didn't turn toward the cameras or soak in the moment. He stayed still. Focused. Unshaken. When the crowd quieted just enough, Denzel leaned forward one final time. "Donald," he said, voice steady and low. "This isn't about humiliating you. This isn't about applause. This is about accountability. Something this country hasn't seen from you in a very long time." Trump looked up, eyes glassy, jaw clenched. He tried to recover the swagger, the bravado that once filled stadiums. But it wasn't there. Not tonight. Not anymore. "You don't understand what it takes to lead," Trump muttered, a tired, brittle attempt at defiance. Denzel shook his head slowly. "No," he replied. "I understand exactly what it takes. It takes honesty when it's inconvenient. It takes courage when you're scared. It takes choosing truth over ego. And right now?" He paused, letting the silence tighten around them. "You're choosing ego." A wave of murmurs rolled across the studio. Trump slapped the table again, but it sounded different now, less powerful, more desperate. "I've done more than anyone," he snapped. "More than any president, more than you could ever understand." Denzel didn't blink. "And yet here we are," he said. "You, blaming your team. Blaming the numbers. Blaming the media. Blaming everyone but the man in the mirror." Trump's expression twisted. "You think you're better than me?" "No," Denzel answered simply. "I think the truth is bigger than both of us." The audience erupted, not in jeers, not in cheers. But in something sharper. Respect. They weren't watching a fight anymore. They were watching clarity. A moment where the fog finally burned away. The host attempted to regain control, her voice trembling slightly. "We need to wrap this segment." But Denzel wasn't finished. He stood slowly, deliberately, towering with presence alone. Trump stayed seated, shoulders tight, eyes darting. "Donald," Denzel said, "America doesn't need perfection from you. It never did. But it does need honesty. And after everything, tonight, you finally let a piece of that slip through." A hush fell. Denzel placed both hands on the table, leaning just enough to let his words land like truth carved into stone. "You didn't lose because people betrayed you. You didn't lose because of fraud. You lost because a leader cannot outrun the truth forever." Trump's breath caught. The audience didn't move. And then, applause. Slow at first, then louder, swelling, rising like a wave crashing over the room. Trump stared at the ground, defeated, exhausted, exposed. Denzel didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He simply stepped back, letting the moment speak for itself. Because tonight wasn't about winning a debate. Tonight was about revealing what had been hiding in plain sight. And America had just heard it, live.